Hello, Annie Austin-Meek here. I'm just going to say welcome to the Saturday Softpot Club. Now, this sort of venue, I'm trying to make it happen every Saturday, and basically it's to introduce people to softpots. What is a softpot? How do you make a softpot? What else can you do with softpots? In it, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a simple softpot, and every time I make a simple softpot I try to show you a different form of it. I've been doing all right so far. I don't think I've repeated myself too much. There's always something different that you can do, and I'm here to share it with you. Now, some people I know have bought kits, and if you bought a kit, get your kitty out. Get your gravel, your compost, your softpot gold, and the rest of your decorating kit, and get it out there, get it all ready, and when we start you can come along and make a softpot with me. And for those who at some point I presume will be joining me or probably watching the replay, if you don't know what a softpot is, you're in for a treat. It's not very often that you see a new form of garden craft, a new form of container gardening. Well, this is it. Softpots are beautiful. It's a new form of container gardening. It's a new form of craft. It's a garden craft. Although actually, I mean, you know, in some cases you don't actually even need a plant in it. You can put seeds in. There's just all sorts of things that you can do. And oh, I've just realised my thing's just dropped off. Hold on a minute. Oh dear, I am sorry. I brought this little number in quite specially to show you because I sort of rather like it. There we go. But it was perched on my ironing board, which wasn't the smartest thing. And yes, I just think that's really quite an interesting look. I rather like that now. I mean, after a while I found that with all this bedding stuff, I get a bit bored. I want to see something different. I want different combinations that excite me. And I've got quite a few of those actually out there in the garden now. I mean, I don't know if you know, but I'm doing an exhibition at the Great Yorkshire Show. Oh, hello Steve. Thank you for joining me. Hello my darling, lovely, lovely, lovely man. I love you dearly. Yeah, I'm doing an exhibition at the Great Yorkshire Show, and I'm not quite sure what the pavilion number is, but if you look for the Women's Institute Pavilion, it's a building, they're there, and the Softpot Garden, the exhibition, is outside. Hi Tinky, hello Steve. Yeah, the exhibition is outside, and it's sort of going to demonstrate all the different variations of types of softpots and what you can do with them. Because, I mean, a lot of the time people think, oh yes, little softpots. They're not little softpots. They're very, very, very pretty plant pots, but they can get enormous. I've got a bean out there, a French bean, and it's up to 7 foot tall. And the pot itself, well, it's quite an interesting pot, but it's way too big to get up here into the studio. So yes, anyway, I do apologise. This has got sweet peas, nasturtium, lobelia, and I don't know, something else maybe? I don't know. But I just think that's really quite an interesting way of presenting a soft pot. And this is one of the things about the softpot garden. It's magical, it's different from any other sort of garden. You can utilise things that you'd never dream of utilising to present your garden and your pots. You know, softpots stand on candlestick holders. That's how I mean, I have a battle out there at the moment. There is a bit of a battle going on with my slugs. Because, I mean, hey, they're part of the ecosystem, they're necessary. But having said that, they seem to like the same things that we do. and I've spent many years developing a means of protecting my plants from slugs. And you know something? I found it. I mean, my mother, she just liberally sprinkles her garden with little blue pellets, and then a few days later you see these, mummified remains all littered all over the path. And I just think it's cruel. I can't bring myself to do that. They're such an interesting things, slugs. They're just snails really, without a protection. And when you pick up a stone, and they look up and they go, oh dear, and they're completely naked. They have no protection whatsoever. At least a snail, would go, ooh, I didn't know about this, and it withdraws. The slugs are just stuck there, exposed and very vulnerable. And yes, if you pick them up, if you take them, a cricket pitch away, they won't find their way back. They will if you just chuck them over the next door neighbour's fence, because they have a homing instinct. They're not stupid. I actually watched a slug. It was trying to get up my tomato, and I flicked it off. This was a few years ago. And I was carried on working in the garden. And you know something, I swear, it was the same slug. It had gone up a neighbouring plant, along the leaf. The leaf had bent with its weight, and it was about to get onto my tomato. Well, hats off. They've got eyes, they can see. They look at my plants, they look at my soft pots and my defences, and they go, oh no, I won't bother trying to climb that, because I know I can't get through. They learn very quickly. So yes, I mean, all this prettiness, it isn't just for human consumption. All this prettiness is really quite deadly to the slug. They're lazy. They don't want to have to struggle with colour glass. You watch them, they go, and they give up on your hosta. They just go somewhere else. Anyway, enough in praise of slugs, and I'm growing an exhibition garden without slug pellets. This whole thing is coming out of here, and believe me, I have a lot of slugs, large slugs out there. And I might have to resort to slug pubs, a bit of lager, if it gets really bad. But at the moment, everything is holding. And my secret formula that I spray on my plants seems to be doing the job. So, anyway, I'll pop this away. I just have to pick this up and put it somewhere. There we go. Sorry you rolled off. It rolled off at a massive height, really. No, it could be 3 feet. Any other plant, its contents would have spilt all over the place. The Great Yorkshire Showground, Women's Institute, North Yorkshire, West Federation of Women's Institutes. Yep, that's us, that's right. Avenue F. Thank you, Steve. Yes, look for Avenue F, and right there on that corner, that's where the Women's Institute is. And that's where I'll be, personally, on the Wednesday of the show. I'm booked to be there. I'll be there all day. So if you want to drop round, say hello. It'd be lovely, lovely, lovely to see you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. A bit panicked, I have to admit. This always happens though. Always, always. I always get quite neurotic when it comes to putting on a show and getting the garden ready to go on tour. I'm the only one who does it, and so it really is quite a lot of work. But it is the most enjoyable thing. I can't think of anything else I would rather do, and you can do this too, you know. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hobby. It's a wonderful way to make something that is so personal. It's the most personal gift you could possibly give. A living plant in a pot made by you. Knowing their favourite colours, knowing what their decor is. You can make a soft pot to match anybody's decor, and it's wonderful. Now, I don't know if anybody's joining me. It's a very sort of warm and muggy day today. It's 24th of June, and this is the Saturday Soft Pot Club. Join me. Ask me any questions. I'll show you. Oh, you can see behind there. You see that, my carrot? That's been on my washing line now for quite a long time. And it's doing very well. And it will come on tour with me. And it'll just keep on growing. And as long as people don't get down to the bottom and squeeze it, it will keep on growing all the way down to the bottom. And be very happy as that. Here behind me, you can see my lupins. Yeah, I mean, I was going to show you all, I'll show you all of these a bit later if you like. Well, yeah, I haven't shown you my lupin. You know how slugs love lupins. Well, here, I've got gravel here, and my secret formula, slug repellent, Brillo pad. You know those little Brillo pad things, you can stretch them open, and then just, you know, either fit it round or cut it and then fit it round. But yes, I mean, this is yet to be done up again. But it's been out there, it's been doing very well. And as you can see, it's not been hit by the slugs. I'm really pleased about that. And yes, and again, I mean, oh, this one. This is a little hanger that I've made. And it's just pretty, pretty, pretty. Can you see? Oh, hello, Viv. Greetings. Oh, been following you on Facebook a bit. Love to the girls. So yeah, that's a little hanger. And then, oh, here we are. This one I particularly like. Again, slugs love it. Absolutely love this stuff. But they don't like this around here. Ooh, no. And again, give them credit. They've got eyes, they can see, they look up and go, nah, there's got to be something easier. And they'll go somewhere else. It's the same with insects, actually. Sometimes, you know, I spray my plants so that I sort of borrow one plant's defences to spray on others that don't have any defence. And I got quite involved with that with Valerie Ann Werwood, actually, many, many years ago. But the trouble is that anything that affects the behaviour of an insect has to be tested. And anything that, at the moment, anything that affects the behaviour of an insect kills it. And everything like that comes from Porton Down. And if you've got something, they said, oh no, you can't go on the market with that. It's got to be tested. And I said, well, okay, let's test it then. Apart from the fact that it was going to cost a prohibitive amount of money, they didn't actually have a test that didn't kill. They don't have a non-kill test. And so I would have had to have devised a whole series of non-kill tests as well. And in the end, I just had to give up. We gave up on the whole thing because the trouble is that at the moment, everything that has anything to do with insects kills them. They don't give them the credit that they deserve. There's much kinder, much gentler ways of encouraging an insect to go elsewhere. But that's another aspect of Softpots, their kindness. Oh right, yes. By the way, I should tell you, I've altered my kits a bit. Some people are ordering the £20 kit, yeah. But I reckon there's probably more of you out there going, I don't know, it looks like fun, but this is a kit, this is a new kit. This is a £10 kit. It's a have a go kit. And it's just lovely. It comes with everything that you need to make 2 or 3 soft pots. And just see, once you've made a soft pot, once you've felt it and squeezed it and made it, you're just, so made up. You'll just love it. There's enough here. There's, if you've got children, get this kit, have a go with them. They'll love it. And then, if you want to, you can continue. My kits are generous, very generous. And you'll be really pleased that you bought one and you gave it a go. There's nothing quite like making soft pots. It reaches a part of you that other things, other crafts, other activities just can't. I think it's a combination of working with the living plant, your own creative spirit, the earth. It just gives you a connection like nothing else, and pleasure. Like I don't know, I've invented better ironing boards, and yes, ironing gave me pleasure. I don't iron anymore, by the way. Ironing, you know, a beautifully ironed shirt gave me a lot of pleasure. I invented a better bucket, a really well washed floor, a really efficient job. It offers wash and rinse. Just a better bucket. Yes, that gave me satisfaction, but nothing reaches the parts that a soft pot can reach. There's no doubt about it. I mean, oh, and they can have a sense of humour. And you can paint them, and you can decorate them, and you can leave them plain. Yeah. Oh, Steve says yes. Yes, join me next week. Order the kit, the £10 kit. It's on my. I think Steve's going to put up a collection thing. Order the £10 kit, and then join me next week. And just make a soft pot along with me. And you can ask me any questions you like. And if you get stuck, I can help you. And yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, and please, would you please share this this video? I'm not very good at promoting myself, but yes, if you could please share this video to your friends. If you could, if you'd like to know more about soft pots, if you could subscribe to my video channel on YouTube. I'm doing a whole bunch of courses so that people don't actually have to come trawling all over the countryside to come and visit me to learn about soft pots. So it's going to be really easy for you to just download the information and make your soft pots. So yes, if you subscribe to my channel, Softpots YouTube, you can always get me on at my website as well. What's it called? Softpots.com. Had that long enough, I should know. And I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Yes. And I think, yes, Steve's put up a link for you. That's great. Thank you very much, Steve. Yes. Right, so I'm going to make a soft pot. I'm just going to make a soft pot anyway. And oh, by the way, thought I'd for all those organic gardening people there in London, hello. I just thought I'd bring in my aubergine for you. There's my aubergine, and you know, again, I like flowers. I like flowers and combinations of things, rather than your hard and fast vegetable. And aubergines are so pretty, so very pretty. And yes, there we are. Aubergine with petunia and a bit of nasturtium and forever lobelia. There we go, pop that back. Got a few. Oh, while we're on vegetables, you know, I've showed you my carrot. There it is on the washing line. And I've shown you my celery, which I grew from a celery stalk, and it's doing really well. It's doing really well. And this was a spring cabbage that I chopped up. We had it for tea, and I had the bottom bit left. And anyway, I just stuck it in some water, and it grew some roots. And then I stuck it in a soft pot. And you know, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I haven't put anything else with it. I wasn't sure it would take, but it has. And it's growing me a beautiful, beautiful spring cabbage. And I just, again, I know I love spring cabbage. The slugs love spring cabbage. So I have my ultimate defence, Brillo Paddy stuff. I mean, the colour grass works really well. But the colour grass mixed with the Brillo Paddy stuff, fantastic. Yeah. They just look and go, forget it, and they go somewhere else. And yes, there, you can see one beautiful, perfect spring cabbage. And so I can go on and on, actually. And I've got the glorious girl down there. I'll continue. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. Right, going to make a soft pot. Now, when you make a soft pot, you can't just put any old compost into any old legotite. Not if you want a really, really beautiful, a really, really pretty soft pot. What you want are the sheerest, shiniest, glossiest stockings or tights you can get your hands on. 10 denier or less. If you use heavy duty stockings, don't mess about trying to put in glittery bits because it doesn't work. They're just too dark. And funnily enough, the effect is quite funky. That's the word. So if you want really, really, really pretty soft pots, even if you start with basic soft pot tights underneath, finish when you're getting to the decorating bit, use this. Oh, hello, Jane. Oh, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining me. I'm just delighted. Right, I'm making a soft pot, Jane. I'm just going to start demonstrating. I think you've missed that. See my carrot behind there? I want to show you my carrot. See, that was hanging on my washing line. That's the one I was telling you about that grows on my washing line. And I've just shown my lupins, some of my hangers. This one's wearing jewellery. You can involve, you know, so many things when it comes to soft pots. I mean, they're not just, you know, better for the plants because the roots grow normally, you don't get roots spiralling, and they can absorb the ground and the rainwater. I mean, they really are much better than conventional plant pots. I mean, it's been boiling hot out there, and all those poor plants in plastic or terracotta pots have been absolutely baking, quite literally baking. And soft pots, you know, they don't heat up in the sun the same way, and they don't freeze in winter the same way. In fact, all this stocking and material and everything gives you thermal insulation, and your pots, you'll find, are quite resistant to the cold. And I mean, in fact, you can build a soft pot for any environment. The desert, the Arctic, even outer space. You could use them for terraforming. Easy. Yeah. Because of course you can have long ones. I mean, that's the thing with soft pots, you know. I mean, they're not just small little things that are just round and dumpy. You can make long ones, wrap them around things. You can make really long hangers. I've got one downstairs, but it's too big to bring up. The things that you can do with the soft pot are incredible. And they're not just, as I was saying, better for the plant, they're better for the planet, because you use all sorts of recycled materials that you'd never dream of. After you've made 3 or 4 soft pots, you get what I call soft pot eyes. Everything you look at, you think, can I put that in this soft pot? Can I put a soft pot into it? Can I wrap a soft pot around it? I mean, there's just no end. Literally, the limit is your imagination. Sorry, back to doing a simple soft pot. Always teach a simple soft pot on the Saturday Soft Pot Club, but I try to show different things, you know, because a simple soft pot can still take many forms. More advanced soft pots or anything like that, I'm doing these courses, as I was saying. But, got my ring, got my stocking. Yeah, they use all sorts of recycled materials. Got my gravel. Soft pots are very light. And it's nice to give them some gravitas. And when we get to the point where we do the bounce, it really helps. It's very satisfying. So, put in a handful of gravel or stones, anything to give it weight, but not glass. Wash gravel ideally. I used to get my next door neighbour's gravel, and actually in the end I had to replace quite a lot of it. But the thing is if you just pick up gravel from outside, it'll probably have slug eggs in it, this, that and the other. So just give it a wash, and it'll have sand. And sand is the one thing that you want to avoid with a soft pot because it just comes straight through. So avoid sand, but put in the gravel. And then what I have here is a topless sort of scoop. They're sort of everywhere, aren't they? And what I'm doing is I've got 3 of these scoops with some regular compost in the bucket. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the Softpot Gold. Now, you can't make a soft pot without it. It is absolutely the best thing. If you just put compost into a Lego stocking, it'll compact and compact and compact because the nature of a stocking is constrict. And before you know it, it's gone hard as a rock, you can't get water or anything into it, and the whole thing dies. So just don't do it. Softpot Gold is what you need. It's cheap, it goes a long way. The best place to get it is from me because you can only get this in industrial quantities, and you'd have enough for like many lifetimes if you were just you on your own. So here we go. And what is Softpot Gold, you may ask? Softpot Gold, it looks like gold chunks. It's a natural mineral. It comes from volcanoes and they blow it up like popcorn. And what it does, I've just put that into there. A standard mix, by the way, is 3 of compost to 1 of Softpot Gold. That's just what I put in there. Yeah, they blow it up like popcorn, and in a soft pot, it stops that compaction from happening. It absorbs the water and the nutrients and releases it very slowly, a bit like porridge really. And inside a soft pot, if you have just a naked soft pot without any decoration, it's beautiful, really, really beautiful. It looks like stone. And if you put them outside, they'll grow their own moss, they'll grow their own patina. And the wonderful thing is that sometimes you can have 2 soft pots outside, one of them will grow moss and you go, oh, I love it. The other one, it grows it completely differently. Oh, hello Sheila. Oh, thank you very much for joining me. Hello Sheila Gorry. Oh, it's nice to still be in contact after all these years, isn't it? Thank you. And I'm mixing this up, by the way, and when I've mixed it up, it looks like a really scrummy cake mix. Can you see? Yum. Everything living wants to have feel warm and secure and have a nice bed to sleep in. It is fundamental to all of life. And a soft pot is the kindest home to give any plant if you can't have it in the ground. It outperforms a plastic or terracotta pot 1,000 times over, and it is so much kinder to plants. And you'll see, I mean, I am not a good gardener. I'm inconstant, I get distracted, but because soft pots, my plants are in soft pots, they can absorb the ground and the rainwater. And if I really ignore them, the roots will come through and they'll go into the ground and find what they need. And when I come to pick them up, I go, ooh. But what you do is pick them up, rub the roots off with your hand, and they go poof, and they just go back into their pot. And that's how you can maintain a pot, either at the same size, or, I mean, say if it's a tomato or something like that, you want to make it bigger. You take your pot and all your roots have come through, you just connect another soft pot to it. And so it goes on. You never get any root transference problems because you never actually transfer the plant. It just goes from one soft pot into the next one. But that's vegetables, that's a whole other aspect. I've almost got into bonsai there as well, didn't I? Right, I'm back. Got my stocking, got my gravel, And I've got my compost mix here. And when you're filling it, what I've got here is I've got the bucket on a chair, and hopefully you might be able to see. I'm just hanging it over the top. And what I'm hoping to do is just drop the compost in nice and lightly and let gravity do the work. If you try and fill it on a table, you'll find that you're fighting against yourself and it doesn't work so well. Right, there we are. I don't know whether I want to go on, do I? I'll make it a bit bigger. There we are, let's have a look at that. There we are, got my compost mix, gravel in the stocking, and now we're going to do the bounce. All I'm doing is dropping it on the floor and it's bouncing up and down. And it brings out your inner child. It really does. Children love to do this, absolutely love it. And oh, when it hits the bottom, it's all down at the bottom, it's got a very satisfying thud. There we are. Now, see how beautiful the Softpot Gold is inside that pot? Oh, yes. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And, right, what have we got? I've got a humble little geranium here. I had a notion that I'd try and do, I don't know, something different. Normally I do it with ivy. I mean, ivy are really, really good if you're starting out because they can take a battering. But this is summertime. This is Saturday Softpot Club. I'm going to do something a bit different, I hope. Having said that, you never know what you've got until you've made it with Softpots. It's always a surprise. Right, we've done the bounce. Everything's in a nice loose pile. You're going to do the donut. Take your thumbs into the middle and then just go round and squish any lumps that you may find, because lumps affect the drainage. It's a bit like cellulite, it just suddenly turns up and it's there. So get rid of those lumps and then you won't find them showing up. And if you can't squish them, get your hand in, get them out. No lumps in your Softpots, please. Right, so there we are. I've gone round and it's very therapeutic. It feels, it feels like dough. Right, here we go. Going to take this down, going to take this down. Try not to get it twisted. And I'm going to stretch it just to give it a notion of what it is that I want it to do. Now this is the most difficult bit about a Softpot, is getting the plant into the pot. Now, if you've got children and they're little, just hold it open, the neck open for them and let them pop it in. Because otherwise they can finish up struggling. And after a while you get really good at doing this, but generally if I'm live or I'm demonstrating, I become all fingers and thumbs. You can go all over the place. But generally Softpots actually is a very clean hobby. You don't get dirty. You don't get a bad back from digging. And all you need is one plant to thrill you. Just one. And you can have a very, very diverse garden because each Softpot is, I don't know, honouring each plant. And you actually see each plant for what it is. And Softpots really enhance plants. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this down, going to pick it up, and then one way or another I'm stretching that neck and I'm just going to plop that plant right on the top there. Now with this I can take this right up over its head, and that's good because it's good for demonstrating. Obviously if you've got a plant and it's out like that, you can't do this. You can only take it up as far as it can go. Oh right, Steve's just come up, he says, to audio have a go kit, click here. Yes please, yes, audio have a go kit. You won't be disappointed, you'll have so much fun. Something about Softpots, it makes you happy. It just does. Right, you can see the plant is on the pot, it is in there, and even if it was a deep pot, pop it on, straight on the top. Don't try and force it down. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to take my thumb, put it on the shoulder of the plant pot, and then with my other hand, I'm just going to gently lift up the compost and bring it round the plant. There we are. And you don't have to worry about the shape of the plant, the pot at the moment. There's a stage later on where it'll take any shape that you want to give it and remember. But at the moment, what we're doing is that we're just tucking it up and tucking it in. There we are. Let's have a look. Can you see? There we are. It's sitting inside the pot there now. It's been put to bed, and soft pots are a kind and gentle bed. And suddenly your plant has a body. Soft pots are very tactile. They just feel wonderful, absolutely wonderful. You know when you see young lambs and they're sort of a bit like that. That's what I always think of anyway. You know, they're sturdy little bodies. Right, the simple soft pot is the first one I always teach, the only one I teach on the Saturday Softpot Club. And the reason I teach it is because it's the simplest, but also it's a really useful one to know. If you move around a lot, if you've got cats, dogs, you live in a house full of clumsy people, then this is the pot for you because it doesn't spill. You can play ball with it if you want, and this is one of the reasons why I think it would also be very good for, you know, space, because they're closed systems. You can create closed systems with them. But they won't listen to me, NASA, or the British Space Agency. They think I'm a nutter. And I think there's something about, you know, as soon as you mention the word, well, actually, they're made from lady stockings, it's not technical enough. Some things are too simple, unfortunately. However good they are, it would seem. Anyway, maybe one day, you never know. Soft pots in space, yeah. Right, what am I doing? What am I doing? Ah, yeah, simple soft pot. I've taken a slice of tie, got a loop there, going to cut it again, going to stretch it around the neck, and I'm going to tie it. And just when it gets to the point you think, oh, maybe that's a little bit tight, you can bit tight, but you can still get your finger in, that's where you want it. Tie a knot. Just one knot, simple. I always cut the end off because I'm neat and tidy. And there we are. This is the stage where we decorate. And it's always worth getting rid of any compost, anything like that, because you don't want it in your decoration. Now, soft pots, I always tend to think of them as fairies going to the ball. And if you've got a beautiful ball gown, you've got a petticoat underneath, haven't you? And that makes everything just flow beautifully. And it's just like that with soft pots. So what's that? Red, I think that's a red geranium. I've lost track of what I've got. A lot of the labels have fallen off, unfortunately. Can't have that really, but yeah. So I think that's a red. This is organza. When it comes to decorating your soft pot, there are certain things that you really do need to know. The world is your oyster, but avoid natural materials. Cotton, linen, felt, silk, sacking, wool, real wool. All of those things, when they're in between the layers, they will rot and it goes slimy and disgusting. So don't be tempted to do that. Having said that, you know, there are certain exceptions. Colour glass is the only exception that I've found that I can use, and I have to use it in a specific way. And yeah, apart from colour glass, that's it, no natural materials. And the wonderful thing is actually, is that if you've got sort of just an annual plant, once it's over, you can just take out the materials and reuse them. Because sometimes you think, God, that's such a beautiful pot. And then the plant's over, just take the materials out and make another one. It'll never be quite the same, of course, but, you know, it's quite nice. And I mean, these days, I mean, you go around garden centres and things like that, pots, plants, they're really expensive. Really, it adds up, doesn't it? Adds up really, really quickly. I'm always quite shocked. And I don't really have a garden here. I can't really bring anything on too much. You know, as I think I showed you the other day, the last week, you know, I've got sort of about 20 feet of gravel at the front and just a deck at the back. I wouldn't call it a garden. So, I mean, in a way, I mean, it's quite surprising that I'm doing a garden exhibition for the Great Yorkshire Show when I haven't got a garden. I haven't even got a greenhouse. Everything's outside. And, yeah. Fingers crossed, everything's doing really, really well. Right, got my petticoat. And so now we're going to move on to the colour grass. This is the first layer, by the way. Hello, Karen. Oh, hello, Karen. Thought about giving Charlie jet wash here in Harrogate. Ah, yeah, I might have a bit of work for him. Glad to see you've been having such a lovely time. I've been following you on Facebook. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and Kalu Lima. Goodness me. Hello, I've been following you too, as well. Your dance, beautiful. Oh, thank you very much for joining me. Much, much appreciated. And yeah, I mean, if you could share it about, I keep forgetting to advertise. And then I have to remember on Saturday morning, I think, oh, and I have to put something up on Facebook, but that's it. So, oh, back to this. Right, got a lovely petticoat. And then colour grass. See all these colours? This is why you can make a soft pot to match anybody's decor, anyone's favourite colour, anyone's eye colour. There's just no end to what you can do with the colour grass. It's what liberates us creatively, I would say. I mean, soft pots liberate plants because they're better for the plants, but certain things liberate us creatively. And colour grass is just fantastic. You can fluff it up light as a cloud. You can blend it. All sorts of different colours. And you don't need very much. And this is the stuff that allows you to, it acts as a grip for everything else that we're going to put on the plant, on the soft pot. So you don't need pins, you don't need anything other than a slightly, you know, fairly blunt pair of scissors really. That's all you need. So it's perfect for kids. And because it's so unprescriptive, as long as the soft pot's made right on the inside, how you decide to decorate it is entirely up to you. And I long ago learned, do not judge. Because I've seen things I thought, oh gosh, I don't know about that. Woof. Turned out, at the end, the most beautiful of all of them. And it really took me by surprise. And anyone can make one. One of my first registered soft pot makers, these are people who take soft pots up as a business, their own business. My first one, she came, I think, all the way from Nottingham. And you know, I thought that at least the one prerequisite for making a soft pot was to have two hands. But you know, that lady turned out and she only had one. And she made the most beautiful, beautiful soft pots. I mean, they were a bit big and really big and puffy, but beautiful. Oh, soft pots, big and fluffy. Here we are, just going to pop that round the pot. Just blag it round. And when you're making a simple soft pot, it's worth making sure that it's quite close up around the neck. Because otherwise it can all just drop down. You can spend an awful lot of time doing that. Just trying to push it all back up again. So, right, done that. What else? Glittery things. Anything. Ah, shiny, glittery, textured. That's what you're looking for. What did Steve say? Oh yeah, yeah, soft pots are great for fundraising. I mean, everyone likes plants, and you know, the kids will love making them, and they're cheap to make and profitable to sell. And Annie has a very special fundraising kit if you'd like, if you're interested in that. But yeah, fundraising is separate though from becoming a registered soft pot maker. That's different. Yeah, yeah. You can look on my website maybe about that if you're interested. But it all starts with making one, and the £10 have a go kit is just what you need to get going, give it a chance, and get the kids together and have fun. Right, what else have we got? Glittery things. Oh, these are bits that I found. I took off a light. It's one of those lights with stick light things, and those were the things that went around the lights. And I just think they're great. So put a couple of those on. Yeah. And then anything shiny, anything you can just really push the boat out. There's on the top, and then there's underneath. And it's a lovely thing to do, you know, to get together, make a soft pot as a commemorative thing. And you know, you can sort of write on bits of ribbon, synthetic ribbon, and just loop them through the collar there. And eventually, one of the nice things about the colour grass is that because it is natural, it does fade back, given years, time, wherever it, depending on its location. And you'll find that your whole soft pot just keeps on evolving and changing. And it's beautiful, beautiful. And all these things that you might think, oh, I put that there, I can't see it. You watch, it will all come through. It all comes through in the end. And you really, really can't go wrong. But I'm always after shiny, glittery, bits, scarves, jumble sails, all that 60s stuff. And you thought, oh, God, I wore that all those years ago. Don't feel bad about chopping it up. I do. There's just no end, absolutely no end. And you just pop it underneath or in between the layers, and that's good. Right, I'm going to move on to some woolly bits. Let's have a look. Now, when I say woolly bits, I mean acrylic woolly bits. I mean, sometimes I can't tell. I'll buy something and it doesn't say whether it's wool or not. And if I put it out, if it really is wool, after it's been out there for a good few months, it may start going sort of a bit mouldy looking. I have to admit, I rather like that. To me, it adds to the patina of it. But one of the nice things you know about soft pots is that they're washable. And you just take a damp cloth and just wipe it. If there's moss growing and you think, I don't like that, just take a damp cloth, wipe it off. You really can't go wrong. And if you've had soft pots in your house for a while, you know, houses get really dusty, it's well worth, again, just giving them a wipe, and then they'll come out all bright and shiny and beautiful again, like brand new. Soft pots last a long time, you know, they're very, very strong. I mean, they're made from stockings. I mean, they're rather like the ladies who wear them. They're soft, strong, supportive, nurturing, giving, resilient. I mean, stockings are wonderful, tights are wonderful, a wonderful invention. And you'd be amazed at their uses. I think they're very, very undervalued in a way. And certainly, I wouldn't be making soft pots if they weren't as cheap and inexpensive as they are. Because only 60 years ago, I mean, a pair of stockings was so valuable. They used to have stocking shops where people came along and actually sewed up any holes or ladders, and they had them repaired. They were really, really special. Let's have a look. What else have we got? When it comes to white, always put white on the top. Never put anything white too close to the base, because it will go grey really quickly. And again, all I'm doing here is just plocking things on and just keep on going. And people say to me, oh, well, when do you know when to stop? I always say, when it looks like a fairy going to the ball. And that's probably a pretty good indicator. Unless it's a naked softpot or a tree. Sometimes trees don't like to go out dressed up. They like to be plain, just moss. I've noticed that. They look really miserable if they're too overdressed. Right, what else have we got? What other colours? Oh, this is one of my favourites. Believe it or not, this is an acrylic mohair. And I can't believe it. The colours are just so alive. It's just incredible. Oh, yes. And then, again, anything glittery, shiny. I have quite a lot of... You get this sort of thing from the pound shop, I think it is. You tend to get it at special times of year. I find Halloween's really good. And when you see it, get it. Because you might have to wait another year before you get your hands on it again. On my website and on the shop, I put in the things that I can regularly supply you with. Things like this, you know, weird stuff that you pick up. I can't supply you with that. And that's the joy of Softpots, is it just liberates your imagination. Everything you look at, you think, that could be useful in the Softpot. Put a little bit of that on as well. And then sequins as well. Oh, when in doubt, sequin is out. That's my motto. Now, got some pink, a bit purple. Again, wonderful sequins, courtesy of Right, there we have our basic Softpot. Do you think it looks like a fairy ready to go to the ball? I sort of think it does. There we are. Pretty girl. Right, the grand denouement. Watch this. Here we go. I'm going to undo that tie made at the top. Always make it loose. You wouldn't believe how difficult it is to get knots out once you've tied them. Sometimes it's worth just start again. Softpots are very, very forgiving, you know. I mean, a lot of the time, if you make a hole, make more holes and then put another layer over the top. If you make ladders, make more ladders, put another layer over the top. Just experiment. It's so much fun and you really can't go wrong. As I've said, as long as they're made right on the inside, you can't go wrong. That's with Softpot Gold, and you can get that from my website, and it's inexpensive and it makes quite a lot. So, got my other hand, walking it down inside the pot, going to stretch it, open it up, got my thumb on the back, going to walk those two hands down, bring it down, bring it round as fast as I can. And you see how dark it is. That's Tendenia stocking as well. We have to work a bit harder to get the colours to really pop out. And you know something interesting, I have to admit, I always say, oh yes, I only ever use black. I don't actually. During the summer, I do use blondites for certain things because it just suits the plant better. I mean, you don't have to use black, just use the sheerest, shiniest, glossiest that you can get. Now, this bit's quite interesting. When you pick it up, the bottom is clear. And what you want to do is grab that there and don't let go. Anything. And then, once you've got that, with your other hand, just pull all of it down, gently but firmly, over your arm. And then, that neckline has expanded. Now, I don't want it to expand quite as much as that. There we are. And then, with everything else that's hanging down below the level of the pot, I'm just going to unceremoniously shove it all back up. There we are. And then, bring it down again. And have a look. Now, if I want to alter anything, this is a good time to alter things, because you can get in. You can always alter things from the outside as well, but it's just not quite as easy. There we are, pushing it up, bringing this down, and can you see? Da 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 da. Ha. There we are. Now the next bit, it's over very quickly, it's called the twizzle. And if you've got a small plant, sometimes it's really worth trying to do the twizzle, because it makes all the colours really pop out as much as they can. With the bigger stuff, I have to have a different technique. But here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to grab it close to its bum. And then I'm going to spin it. And by spinning it, I'm forcing as much tension as possible into that stocking, making it as sheer as it's possible for it to be. And then I'm just going to tie a knot underneath, simple knot, close to its bum again. Softpots is all about tensioning. And then I'm going to cut the umbilical cord. Whoop. And here my softpot is born, and it will take any shape that I want to give it. But to be honest, often it's a collusion between the both of you. You both have to be happy with the shape that you've got. And I mean, softpots tend to lend themselves very well to being soft little round pots, because it suits them. But if you want, you can take 2 fingers, can make it, put it on its shoulders, roll it, and that forces the contents out. And you can tease it out from the bottom, and you can make it wider. You can squash it up. You can squash one side so it's biased on one side. See that? Actually, that feels like it quite likes that. It's sort of like a little horseshoe shape there. And there we are. One happy little soft pot. Now, if I wanted, I could have put two or more plants in. With a simple soft pot, you just make a bigger pot, and you still tie just the one tie round, but just with more plants in, that's all. And when it comes to watering, best thing to do, probably with all pots, really, is the first time you make them, is plunge them. If you put a little bit of gravel in the top, by the way, sometimes that stops bits floating out. But when it comes to watering, first time you make it, the best thing to do is plunge them. Put them in a bucket of water. When all the bubbles stop coming out, in a deep bucket of water, when all the bubbles stop rising, that means that the whole thing is properly charged, all those soft pot gold crystals charged. Bring it out, leave it to drain clear underneath, and if it's an indoor plant, the top of these yogurt pots are really, really good for just protecting your furniture and giving them a nice little stand. Of course, you can get more elaborate candlestick holders, all sorts of different things, but I find that is just the one that I generally use for just protecting my furniture. Afterwards, you don't always have to plunge a soft pot. You just pop it in a bowl of water, leave it there for 10 minutes. It can just suck it up like a sponge. And when you pick it up, you'll find that you can feel the weight of it. and after a while you get to know its dry weight and its wet weight, and they become like friends. You pick them up and you go, ooh. Sometimes they feel really, really light, but the plants themselves look all right. And when you put them in the water, they float. But the plant looks all right, and that is the Softpot Gold. That's holding enough water to keep that plant going. Otherwise, it would be completely collapsed. As I said, you do need... oh, hello, Joanne. Oh, nice to see you. I saw your picture of your little pony, your little donkey, Dolly. Pretty, pretty little Dolly. Thank you for joining me. Yeah. Right. So there we are. I think I've made my simple soft pot for you, and hopefully this has been of interest, and I've shown you things that perhaps you don't normally come across. Carrots growing on washing lines, and vegetables like the ones I have. I mean, out next week maybe I'll see if I can take you outside, and hopefully I won't get cut off, and I'll show you some of the big stuff. What's this? How lovely to see you live. Oh, I love you to bits. Thank you, Joanne. Oh, thank you, Joe. Hopefully see you later this summer. So, oh, one thing I was going to show you is this one. It's been in my backyard, and it's grown. It's become sided because it was growing. It was the only way it could grow towards the light. As I said, I'm working with extremely restricted space, but this one is quite elaborate. It's one of those. It's a salvia. It's hot lips, and slugs love salvia, and I'm doing really well. And as you can see, I'm very well defended here. Let's hope that it stays together long enough to get to the exhibition. And yeah, I mean, I'd have to see if I can turn it round so it's not quite as sided, to go and rearrange my backyard again. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that the last thing. And this is jewellery, by the way, that she's wearing. That's a necklace. I don't know if you can see. Oh, hello, Andrea. Oh, thank you for joining me. Oh, you know, I should give everyone a quick whiz round with everything. More people seem to have joined now, but see, that's my aubergine with petunias and nasturtium. This is my lupin, and as you see, it's all gravel around the side there. And I'm amazed that it's done so well, really, out there, because it's slug heaven, really. I don't use slug pellets. I sort of went into my notions about slugs. You know, slug pellets are the last thing I would like to inflict on them. I'd do anything rather than that, really. This is another one the slugs like, and it's got quite a lot of jewellery in that. Some nice jewellery in the and this is one of the early ones that I showed you. This is just a little hanger. If you can see it, it's very, very pretty, and it just hangs flat to the wall, you see. I'll have to go and get it in a moment. This one, going on a seaside theme, coming along, there's going to Henshaws, and it's all a big sort of seaside theme, so I'm working on things for sort of that looks sort of seasidey to me, and I've got a little mermaid. There's just so many things you could do with Softpots, you know. And yeah, I think we should call it a day at that, don't you? Hopefully, join me next week. Get yourself a £10 Softpot kit, And join me next week with you, the kids, anybody else who wants to come along and join you. And you will have fun. And you see, there's such a magic in Softpots. What does he say? Grab a kit now and join Annie next week as she shows you how easy they are to make. Yes, yes. The simple softpot is easy to make. All softpots are easy to make. And it's a challenge to your imagination and ingenuity. Just so much fun. So, thank you very much indeed for joining me here on the Saturday Softpot Club, 24th of June 2017. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I thank you all so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it, and I know I'd be glad if you could share as well, because I'm not very good at that sort of thing. But yes, if you could pass it on, that would be lovely. Thank you. And to all of you who've joined me, oh, Joanne, Vanessa, thank you. Yeah, yeah. That's great. Jane, thank you. See you next Saturday. Bye for now. Home.